I wonder if I can do it from here. No. Oh, look what I got here, folks. The root beer from the president himself. Cheers. The Yellow Submarine shirt. This shirt was handed to me by George Harrison when he played at my dad's hotel. I've had this shirt since a long time, let's just say 20 years. That's why it's a little bit tight on me now. This is official Beatles wear. Yeah, fuck, you had to be at the tour, you know? Anyways, we're going to, and George Harrison, well, he was quite a character. I don't know. I'm sure you've all seen him on TV and stuff, and so you got a rough idea. He's a good guy. There's nobody like him at least in the popular world scene at all today. Not even close. So anyways, in the days... Oh, somebody texted me. Oh, there we go. That's what that sound was, folks. Teddy Texter's texting me. Look at this, folks. We'll just break this in half just so we get more bang for our buck, right? Because we're running low. Probably going to have to go to Vancouver next week sometime, hopefully. It's still up in the air, folks, you know? No sense going if there's nothing to get, right? And so, here we go. Now, folks, remember, don't be trying this shit at home. Skilled professional, years of training, all that kind of bullshit. Yeah, George Harrison is quite a guy. You know, we're trying to order the group lunch, right? Everybody's picked out what they want, except George Harrison's thing just says food on it. And so I'm like, George, food. What the fuck does that mean? He's like, well, whatever, you know, whatever you seem fit to put in your mouth is probably fine with me. And I'm like, well, I'm going to McDonald's and getting a Big Mac and fucking some fries. And he's like, well, oh, no, I'll pass on that actually. Uh, I'm a vegan, you know, or a vegetarian or whatever the fuck he was calling himself back then. And I'm like, oh, fuck, you're fucked, buddy. This is back in like the time when there was nothing for vegetarians, you know? Oh, yeah. I'm like, you didn't pack your own lunch? I can get you a salad, maybe. He's like, oh, just forget about it. It's too fucking complicated. And I'm like, yeah, actually it is. Fuck. You need to diversify your diet if you're going to go on tour, you know? Or pack your own lunch. So anyways, I got to go potty. I'll be right back. Yeah, everything with him was complicated. The man, folks, could never give you a straight answer for anything, right? You ever seen him do interviews? Oh, yeah. The interview will be like, so what's going on in your life, you know? And he'll be like, well, not a whole lot. And the interview will be like, well, you got any new stuff coming out or anything? And he'll be like, well, I'm not sure really why you called me out here to be interviewed, you know, on your show, because I have fuck all to say. Oh, yeah, that's the kind of interviews George Harrison used to do. Oh, fuck. Yeah. And so, yeah, his kind, they just don't exist anymore, you know? We're going to do another big fat down. He'd be like, they'd be like, so there we go. Yeah, that was back in the day when Keith Richards had aliens land in his backyard. Oh, yeah. Might be before some of your time. Good old Keith Richards. He got abducted by aliens, you know, folks. They probed him and then returned him to his backyard. At least that's what he told the Star, right? Oh, yeah, the Star no longer exists, folks. The Star is like, used to be a tabloid newspaper, right? Probably the best one. Like, now there's the National Enquirer, but I mean, the National Enquirer one, they only learned from the Star, right? And the Star was this tabloid newspaper. All the stars would call it all the time, you know, because there's a saying in the industry, folks, you know, doesn't matter what they're saying about you as long as they're talking about you. That means you're still fucking in the game, right? When they stop talking about you, you're no longer in the game. And so And so they would all phone that tabloid all back then and like say crazy stuff, and that tabloid would print anything you asked them to, right? And then they'd go on their tour and they'd be like, "You hear what we read in the Star about you?" And they'd be like, "Oh yeah, those guys, they just print crazy shit, eh?" Meanwhile, they're the person himself is the one who fucking gave him the story, right? Oh fuck, it's hilarious shit. So, anyways, the Star, folks, it got taken down, right? Unfortunately, by the law, because the Star, well, it liked to get news in unconventional ways. You know, that's how it got things that no other newspaper got. You know, it would wiretap famous people's phones. It wiretapped all the royalties' phones. It was, if you were somebody famous, they wiretapped your phone. And they were putting GPS devices on people's vehicles and all kinds of stuff, eh? And eventually the owner, well, some of his people got arrested and he got his newspaper shut down. And I guess he fucked around with the wrong people, you know, and it was okay when you were fucking around with, you know, musicians and artists. Nobody gives a fuck about that, right? But when you start tapping the Queen's phone and stuff like that, well, that's about the time it was his time to go, as you could imagine. And so the Star's no longer around, and it's too bad because, folks, there's nothing like it around today, that's for sure. These ballless papers that are around today. Oh, fuck. I mean, the Star, all you had to do was phone. They'd print, if you were somebody popular, they'd print whatever you told them to print, right? Like I say, Keith Richards got abducted by aliens in his backyard, you know? So, probed and everything. I did. And George Harrison used to call it all the time, right? Because, well, it's a source of entertainment in George's mind. George lived a pretty quiet life as a rock star goes, you know? He didn't have a lot of guests coming and going, not a lot of partying going on. It's kind of, you know, loner, doing his thing. And so he gets entertained by like stuff like when the Star prints crazy shit about him. Luckily, folks, he never got to live to see the shitty world today, right? He would be sad to see that the Star is gone, you know? He would be, I know it. So, anyways, Fly in the Hall. Oh yeah, Ernie Goldstein. I think you guys are right. That's probably what his name was. I think that's it. Oh yeah. Oh, God, it was good times. Oh yeah, folks. And when stars were getting divorced, the Star was the best, you know, because the girlfriend would phone up the Star, right, and say all kinds of scandalous things about her husband, you know, and then the husband would phone up the Star, say all kinds of scandalous things about his wife, and they'd print it all, folks. They'll give a shit. Oh, it was really good times. It was some fucking funny reading. Anyways, what can you do? All good things, folks, they come to an end. You know? That's what happens. Well, the polished shit just rises higher and higher, right? Oh, yeah, who shot JR? You know J.R. Ewing, right? From the Dallas, who you're just talking about. His name was taken from good old Mr. Kroc, J.R. Kroc of the McDonald's fortune. The probably the most ingenious business tycoon of the fucking 20th century, right? I mean, without J.R. Kroc, no business in North America would succeed at franchising. You know, he created the platform, and it was pretty genius. You know, it wasn't something that would just come out of anybody's mind. It wasn't like obvious and right there in front of you. It was revolutionary. And so, you know, before him, folks, you know what happened when you created a franchise? Well, you would try to franchise, but what would happen was you had no control over all your other locations. They'd just do whatever the fuck they wanted to do. And you had like zero say in it. And they were bringing your good name down the sewer with them. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's true. And so, he didn't steal anything, you know? The McDonald's brothers could not take it any further. They tried, they couldn't. They tried to franchise. They had the idea that, whoa, this is a good idea. It should be franchised. We got the name and the idea. Problem was they couldn't figure out how to successfully franchise because, like others had tried before them, what happens is you have no quality control. You have no control over the menu. You have no control over fucking anything. And meanwhile, they'll have your good name sitting up there, you know? And so the McDonald's brothers were paid well for their idea. You know, they were. Imagine all you came up with was an idea, but you had no business sense to make it go any further. And somebody in 1965 gave you like over $1 million each person. That's like over $2 million, like 2.6 million or something they got. And imagine in 1965, that was actual money back then. Nowadays, I know that can't even buy you a house in the ghetto. But back then, that could buy you the entire fucking ghetto, you know? Oh, yeah. You don't got to feel bad for them. So, anyways, of course, when they were paid that money, McDonald's was making $100 million a year. So, in relative, it would sound like they're getting ripped off and taken advantage of, but they could never make McDonald's make that much money. So, at the end of the day, I think they got the best deal they could get. Fly in the hall. Oh, yeah. No, the McDonald brothers didn't own the company. J.R. Kroc owned the company, okay, from day one. The McDonald's Real Estate Company, which is what it is today, right? The McDonald's Holdings Incorporated was created by J.R. Kroc. What the McDonald's brothers owned was the McDonald's restaurant. Nothing else. And so all they had was one restaurant, one location, and whatever income that one location made. And a matter of fact, after the settlement, they weren't even allowed to call their one restaurant McDonald's anymore. He made them take down the sign. Oh yeah. Yeah, well, the McDonald's brothers signed a contract with him. He lived up to his contract. He got them fucking franchised. But yeah, they didn't have to sign a deal with him. Their restaurant was doing fine. They had 4 locations. They were all fucked up though, and it was probably going to go down to 1 location eventually with them running it. But nevertheless, they had come up with an idea that kept their place busy forever, right? Their idea was genius. Others had tried to use their idea, folks, because they were very generous with their idea. They told everybody. The problem was there was more to it than just the idea. And that's why J.R. Kroc decided not to try what other people did, which was opening up a different restaurant and just using the exact same platform. Because he knew why that didn't work. Yeah, it was their last name, you know, McDonald's. It's as American as apple pie. It's like coming home to dinner. And so, yeah. Look, I got a big fat dab here. Yeah. I make McDonald's hamburgers all the time here at home. The trick is you got to buy the Wonder Bread buns. And they actually sell them here in Duncan, but a lot of towns they're hard to find. In Vancouver, they're very hard to find. But here they're pretty easy to find. I know the place. And so you need the Wonder Bread buns. And then I like the little hamburgers they make, you know, the ones that are like $1.69 here in Canada. And so then you take 1/8 of a pound of beef. That's it. Make it into the patty. Lots of salt. Salted on both sides. Throw it on the grill. About 2 minutes each side. Press down on it after you've flipped it over once. Then a tiny bit of mustard, ketchup, 2 pickles, a bit of diced onion. It's good times. You can't tell the difference. Oh, well, I like the little 1/8 ones. Oh, the Big Mac is full of those little 1/8s. The small patties at the McDonald's are 1/8 of a pound, and the bigger patties are 1/4 pounds. Those are the only 2 weights they work with. And all their patties are 100% pure beef. The only thing added to them is salt. At least here in Canada. There's different recipes in different countries. Oh, I'm smoking the tuna kush. The big tuna, the kahuna. No human meat. That's the Chinese food restaurant. Yeah, my brother used to work at Mayfu Gardens. A lot of cats were going missing in the neighborhood. And then one day, the place gets raided. I guess they were killing all the neighborhood cats and turning them into chicken balls. And people were lining up around the corner for the best chicken balls in town. And then it was all over the paper, and people were like, oh, I've been eating your cat, sorry. It was really good, though. Yeah. Good old Mayfu Gardens. You don't forget a place like that, you know, folks? That was like 1989 or something. Holy fuck, a long time ago. I think even longer than that. I think more like 1986. And back then, you know, folks, that wasn't really a crime. It was just a scandal. It was scandalous, right? You know, so it goes in the paper. But I mean, the next day they're open for business, right? It's not like today where, you know, people would flip out and make a big deal out of it and shut the place down, you know? Back then, folks, your feelings, like I've said many times before, were your problem. And the same with your health. And so nobody gave a fuck about what you had to say. You know, it meant like nothing. Zero zip zichola. And so, yeah, why even bother complaining? And so most wouldn't. And so, yeah, the place was open a day or two later. They just had to confirm to the health inspector that they're not going to cook up the neighborhood cats anymore. You know? That's all. And so that's what they do. You know, I had a tour in Vancouver, folks, where they give you a tour of the underworld of Vancouver, like back in the 1930s. And I guess there was this woman. Oh, she had a really cool name. Fuck, I wish I could remember it. Anyways, if you heard this name, you would think she's a prostitute right away, which she was. And so she had a really good name. And and she ran a brothel. And this brothel serviced like everyone in town, right? Including like the police chief and the mayor and governor, all kinds of fun people, right? That run the whole area. And so sometimes people would complain and try to get the place shut down. And she'd be like, oh, I wouldn't want to, you know, have to go to the paper and say things, you know? And so they could never get her to shut it down. Matter of fact, the house remains to this day with a monument with her name on it. And anyways, this lady, right, she didn't take no fucking shit. Okay, so sometimes she's at the bar because she's really hot and everybody knows in town she runs the best brothel going. That guys try to, well, make moves on her. And, well, she would politely ask them, to please go fuck off. And you know how drunk people can be. They wouldn't fuck off. And so she'd pull out her gun and shoot them in the fucking head. And then they'd be dead on the bar, and she'd go back to her brothel and work the night. And the next day, the police would come and be like, you shouldn't be going shooting people at the bar. And she'd be like, well, he made fucking moves on me. And they'd be like, yeah, you're going to have to tell it to the judge, I guess. And she'd go see the judge, and the judge who would be like, well, you shouldn't be killing people at the bar, It's just, we can't have that happening. I'm going to have to give you $100 fine. Yeah. And then she'd be on her way, and she'd be back at her brothel having another party. And a week or two later, she'd kill somebody else at the bar. And it'd be a repeat scenario. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's good times, the good old days, Your safety? That was also your problem. Now, you would think she's just getting special treatment because, well, she's got the judge probably visiting her brothel, which likely she does. But rumor has it that wasn't special treatment at all. That, a matter of fact, those $100 fines were considered quite harsh back then to most people, and that they felt that she was kind of being picked on because most people would only get like a $20 fine. Oh, yeah. But she had so many repeat offenses, Oh, yeah. This wasn't even the Wild West. It was like 1930s, 1940s. Oh, yeah. It wasn't long ago. It's pretty much still that way in Vancouver, There's a chainsaw wielding maniac, as we've gone over him a few times in the past in Vancouver, and he likes to slice people up here and there. And, well, I don't think he ever spends more than 3 days in jail before they release him, right? The police need to keep themselves busy, and, if you keep all the criminals locked up, I guess, well, at least all the ones you know about, right? The good criminals, well, they'll never be found by the RCMP, right? I mean, this is a no-brainer. You gotta fuck up really bad for the RCMP to pick up on your trail. I mean, like, real bad. Like, maybe cut some of your hair off and fucking leave pieces of your clothing and maybe write your address down and a couple pieces of ID, you know? Fuck. You got to be pretty bad for these guys to pick up on your trail, you know? And even with all that, they might not even figure it out, right? So, fuck. We're talking a crack force, you know, folks? I mean, these people couldn't find their way out of a paper bag on a rainy day, you know? It's true. So, yeah. Well, you got to be with a real asshole in Canada to have someone snitch on you. I mean, there's very little chance of anything happening in either way, right? So they can't do anything, and they're just going to release you. Like, why would you be inclined to do such a thing? You know? But in America, you know, they probably beat you up a bit, throw you in a cell, keep you there, tell you you're probably going to be there for the rest of your life, and you know, that kind of stuff. Maybe then they can get somebody talking. Who knows, man? But yeah, here in Canada, you know, they have a saying here, the criminals, you know, if you can't do the time, you do the crime in Canada, right? Fuck, it's a tourism attraction. You know, tourists from all over the world, mostly China and the Middle East, come to Canada, mostly Vancouver, but many other places, so that they can murder one of their relatives while they're in Canada and then know that fucking Rocky and Bullwinkle are on the case, so the odds of them even figuring out what the fuck happened is slim to none, right? Meanwhile, they're on a plane back home, and by the time they do figure it out, you know, if they do, you know, they got little to no evidence, and their main country goes, well, this sounds kind of shady, you know, I don't know. Fuck, your crack team over there has like nothing, and yeah, it's like a major thing, folks. People, it happens like all the time. But, and so it's not news anymore because it's just such a regular thing. But since the COVID, it probably happens a little less because they're not allowing so much international travel, you know? Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, they say if you can't do the time, you know, you do the crime in Canada. So, anyways, yeah, big fat dab. Mint OG, eh? Oh, oh yeah, the shed. Oh yeah, the good old Fante. It's only killing people because people don't know that's what they're taking. So they don't know how to properly dose themselves. If it was all legal, they could go buy it and know exactly what they're getting, and the accidental death rate would drop to zero, right? Oh, it would. Could all end tomorrow. Oh, it could. So, anyways, we should just do another big fat dab. Be all fucked up. Oh, these are yellow submarines. We all live in the yellow submarine. It's a Beatles tour shirt. I got it at the George Harrison show, and they played at my dad's hotel. Long time ago's when we was fab. Fab. Oh, yeah. We all live in the fucking yellow submarine, you know? Well, no. See, I got room around my neck. It's actually not tight around the collar. I know. But it is tight a bit, but not there. More like around here. That's all good. Well, that's because I'm obese now, right? You know? I used to weigh 150 pounds. Now I weigh 155 pounds. I know, it's shocking. It's hard to imagine I even stand on my own 2 feet. Yeah, yellow submarines. Because we're the knights that say knit, you know? The knights that say knit. Yeah. Yeah, have you ever seen the movie The Search for the Holy Grail? George Harrison funded that movie. Nobody'd give money for that movie, right? They were like, yeah, no thanks. And so George Harrison read the script and he was like, this is fucking some hilarious shit. And they're like, yeah, well, nobody will help us for this movie. He's like, well, I'm going to have to open up a movie company so that we can make this fucking movie. Oh, yeah. And that's what he did. Because that's the kind of guy George was, you know? Yeah, Monty Python. What is your name? What is your favorite color? Oh yeah, the Yellow Submarine movie. It's very good too. Yeah. They don't make movies like the Yellow Submarine anymore. Well, they don't make good movies anymore in general, so that'd be that. I mean, the pool of talent they got to work with, is when you compare it to the old school pool of talent, it's just sad. It is. And so, anyways, they try at least. Give them A for effort. Fire in the hole. Yeah. Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelled of elberry juice. Yeah, that's how it is. Because I love Chinese. Because they only come up to your knees. But they're cute and cuddly and they're aiming to please. And that's why I love Chinese food. The waiters, they never are rude. Oh, yeah. I don't have water. See? Water's for pussies. Yeah. I used to eat at the Come Joy restaurant in Quesnel. Quesnel, it's like super racist community. Luckily for me, I was white. Otherwise, you don't want to spend too much time there. And you don't want to spend too much time there either way, really. And yeah, they arrest natives for going in the park while white people are playing. And they don't have to be doing anything. They just have to be walking through the park, right? Mm. There's like one black guy in the whole town, and everyone calls him Smokey. He has to tolerate that shit or go live somewhere else. That's basically what it comes down to. And so, yeah, it's a interesting place. Yeah, pretty fucked up. They arrested me for holding a sign in the park that said marijuana is BC's biggest industry. And then I got another sign that said RCMP arrested me for holding a sign just like this one. Oh, it was good times. Yeah. My neighbor tried to like kill my dog and poison my well. Oh yeah, it's good times. It's the Wild West out there, you know. And so yeah, it's a town of like 3 pulp mills. Now there's only one, but I mean, there was like 5 once upon a time or something like that. It's the kind of town you can smell before you get to, you know? Oh, yeah. They made me go to this rehabilitation program. This is when marijuana was a crime, so I've been fucking charged with some sort of marijuana offense. I can't even remember, right? Because we got 1,000 of them, right? And so I have to go to this thing, and it's ran by the mayor, right, of the town, because this is a little hick town, and this is how things are done there, right? So the mayor runs this like thing to help re-educate people. And so he's like, they got this survey that you fill out, eh? And everything on it, I answer marijuana related. It goes, what do you want to be in the next 5 years? I'm like, drug dealer. They're like, and what's your favorite hobby? Smoking marijuana, and all this kind of stuff, right? And anyways, I do it day after day after day that we go there, right? Every day, it's the same kind of bullshit, right? It's like this 2-week program, and and every question has marijuana in the answer, right? Every single question, every day. And near the end, the guy's doing this little speech about how he feels some class members have improved, whatever. And he's like, we should learn something here, folks, from Mr. Payne here, who has stayed determined throughout this whole course and has never swayed from his direction. He seems very focused and aimed at what he wants to do in his future. Oh, yeah. Oh, it was good times. Anyways, that man was a scumbag, right? Oh, yeah. Fucking called my house and left death threats on my cell phone. And so I was able to have my court case moved from Quesnel to Vancouver, saying that my life was being threatened if I show up to court there. It was just such a gong show, right? Oh, yeah. Oh, fuck. Yeah, just costing them a fortune to deal with me. And so then we're doing like this satellite trial out of Vancouver over holding a sign in the park, you know? And when the people on the Vancouver side hear about this, they're like, what the fuck is going on here? I'm like, good question. You tell me, we'll both be fucking them for. Oh no, I did tell them. I go, oh, I'm from Quesnel. Up there, they still have lynchings. That's what I told them. That's why I moved my case down here. I was hoping for a fair trial. And he's like, well, son, the judge in Quesnel's still in charge. I'm like, oh, well, then you can all just be bear witness to the lynching, I guess. Oh, yeah. And so, yeah, then they had like this satellite trial and whatever. And the guy who was hooking up the satellite equipment, that runs all the stuff to keep it going. And the two courtrooms, we're in two separate courtrooms, two judges, multiple lawyers. And you know how it gets. And so, anyways, we're trying to remand to another fucking day, right? Oh, we're holding the sign in the fucking. We've already dragged this out at this point, folks, for like 5-6 years, right? And we're trying to remand to another day again that we can discuss it some more. And the guy who runs the technology end of the whole thing, they go to him. They go, so is this particular day good for you? And he's like, you know what? I've had enough of this charade, this little circus going on here. No other day is good for me. I am not available to show up for this, and I'm going to be letting my superiors know the gong show that's going on here. And I was like, you tell them. Told you you're going to be witnessing a lynching. And yeah, he refused to be part of it any longer, right? Oh, it was great because it caused another ridiculous delay, right? Which is what it was all about. After about 7 years of bullshit like this and outrageous delays, and I'm finally given the maximum sentence, right? Which we all expected. And except for the people in Vancouver, they thought I was getting off, right? But no. They learned a lesson that day. That lynching still happened in Quesnel. And so the maximum, right, is like, I forget, like 200 hours community service and like 8 months probation and a $200 fine, eh? Well, I've gotten lots of fines through my lifetime. I've never paid one in my life, right? So never paid that one either. And then there was the probation. It took them a few weeks to set me up with a day because the probation officer wasn't available, I guess, on the day I got out of court. And so it was like a month before I first saw my probation officer. So I go see her and she goes, oh, so it looks here like you got a bunch of community service. And I've learned, folks, when dealing with the government, that lying is usually the best course of action. And you see how things go from there, right? And so I'm like, oh, yeah, the community service. Oh, fuck, I went down to the SPCA and I've done it all. And the worker walks out of the room, right? And I figure she's gone to confirm this and she's going to come back and say, why did you lie to me, right? But no, because we're in Canada here, folks, and things don't really work that way. She actually just went to get a drink of water and then she came back and she said, well, that's quite impressive, Mr. Payne. You know what? Since you've done so well with your community service, you don't need to see me anymore. And that was the end of the whole thing. Oh yeah, was done. So it was quite the joke, right? And so, yeah, there you go. I never did even 1 hour of community service for that fucking bullshit. So yeah, there you go. That's how Canadian justice system works, folks. Just because a judge says that's what you got, that don't mean much here in Canada. And so here we go. Fire in the hole. Oh yeah, it was good times. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to move in the next few months. Yeah. Probably start moving next month. Oh yeah, I did a community service other times for other crimes. Just not that one, right? I think people had read the case and what the Crown on the Vancouver side wrote. They were just like, this whole thing, fucking gong show, ridiculous, never witnessed anything like it before. Are we still in Canada? Kind of stuff, right? And so I think that helped when I met my probation officer, and it's probably one of the reasons they didn't go to check to confirm, right? Because they were just like, yeah, this is bullshit, and I don't need to be wasting my time with this guy, and you know, it's basically what it came down to. Oh yeah, but other times I've had to do the community service. Oh yeah, I've done SPCA. I've done picking up garbage for the city. That's the most common one. The picking up garbage for the city. I think they gave me money for that one though. Not very much, like $3 an hour, because you're doing it for community service. But yeah, I'm not sure how that worked back then. Some fucked up program. No, I never got a ticket driving. Well, I got tickets driving, but only in Quesnel. You know, you don't actually have to commit an offense to get a ticket there. Yeah, one time, this is why my neighbor tried to poison my well. I live on a street on the top of a mountain, an hour and a half away from the nearest police force, right? At this time. And some of my neighbors have never seen a police car on their street, well, in their entire life. And they've lived there their entire life, and they're like 65 now, right? And then one day, there's a police roadblock at the bottom of the road, right? So they're pulling over all my neighbors and checking them for all kinds of crazy stuff because they've never been pulled over in their lives, right? So some of them don't have licenses or insurance or whatever, underage even, right? And so they're all busted, right? But then I pull in and they go to pull me over and they're like, oh, we got who we're looking for. Okay, let everybody else go. So all my neighbors know exactly who they're looking for, you know, and why the cops are at the bottom of their neighborhood. Oh, yeah. So, so my neighbors, they didn't like me very much anymore. And so, yeah, that's what happened. So I had all kinds of death threats on my phone, not just from the mayor. That's why I was able to move that court case over. My neighbor tried to poison my well, like I say, kill my dog. Um, you know, the regular kind of stuff. Oh, because we have a camera down there. Because, well, when you live under these conditions, you learn to put cameras everywhere on your property, right? And so there was a camera over by the well, and the well looked like it had been like the storage container. It's like a clear plastic thing, you know? It's like 500 gallons, but it's like clear plastic and it's underground in this little cubicle that you climb down in a ladder. It was always kind of creepy. And you'd hear like this pump going, spraying water into it. But anyways, the one time there's like a little screw top at the top, and it was like not properly really closed when it should always just be closed. I would never open that thing. That's too scary for me, right? Oh, you wouldn't want to fall in there. Fuck. Oh, goodbye. So, anyways, yeah, I knew something was up. So then you go check the camera footage. I'm like, oh, it's my neighbor. Oh, he's like poisoning my well. Yeah, thought he would. Yeah. Kind of stuff I come to expect. Oh, yeah. And we didn't drink that water anyways because it wasn't that great of water. And in town, you could get free water. That was good. Oh, No, it's a sublimator. The Almighty. Well, I gotta run. That's been going on for a long time. Peace out.